What would Lost look like in 2020? That's been a question a lot of fans have been asking in this reboot-happy television era, but could it ever happen? Lost was a true phenomenon back when it aired in 2004, as it took fans on a journey filled with polar bears, a smoke monster, time travel, and a giant four-toed statue. It changed genre television forever, but a 2020 Lost would definitely be a lot different. What huge changes would the show go through? Luckily, series creators Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse recently revealed what Lost would look like if it aired today. And although they don't outright say it, I would assume Nikki and Paolo would not be involved in any way. So let's get ready to go back.
We have to go back, Kate.
Right now. Anytime Damon and Carlton get together to talk about Lost, there's one big question they're always asked. Just who was in that outrigger shooting at Sawyer and Juliet? The other big question is always, if Lost were made today, what would it look like? Well, at the recent New York Comic-Con virtual event, the creators got very candid about what Lost would look like if it were made in 2020. At first, Damon was quick to joke how Desmond would have had much stronger feelings about vaccinating himself from the sickness he thought was on the island, and the idea of quarantining down in the hatch would have taken on a whole new meaning given the world today. That's totally true. Seeing Desmond trapped in the hatch for years without being able to go outside might have hit us all a bit harder in 2020. But then Damon turned serious and talked about how different Lost would actually be if it were made today.
Best version of Lost would have been maybe 13 to 15 episodes a season. You know, there would have been a lot less filler and there would have been a lot more control in terms of, I think, a lot more confidence in the storytelling.
2004 had a vastly different television landscape than it does right now. Would you believe me if I told you that television shows actually once aired on television, and you couldn't just binge watch an entire season online, and you couldn't go straight to the internet afterwards to share your thoughts with other fans? I know, it's crazy! But Lost was such a perfect show for this era of television. Airing from week to week allowed fans to work themselves up into a frenzy thinking about the show's many mysteries and mind-blowing cliffhangers. But Lost 2020 probably wouldn't have that same sort of impact. More likely than not, Lost 2020 would land on a streaming service, which means the way the writers would approach the show would be different. Carlton said how primetime TV is very structured. You have to write for commercial breaks and episode cliffhangers, which is something that would have been very different if it was on a streaming network.
I think the format of network television with the commercial breaks was so central to the construction of the show that it kind of really helped make the show what it was.
Like, do you think Lost would have been as effective if we could have binged a whole season right away? I honestly don't know. On the plus side, Lost 2020 would probably have less filler. Lost famously got a lot of flack for being a little aimless in its third season, resulting in things like Nikki and Paolo or Jack's tattoo episode. And that was because Damon and Carlton didn't know when they were ending the show and were forced to make at least 22 episodes per season. Damon said that more likely than not, Lost 2020 would have much shorter seasons to focus on the story they want to tell, rather than have it drawn out to meet a network TV demand. And that's tough. On one hand, that means less episodes of Lost, but on the other, it's more quality content. I'm torn. Oh, and one more benefit? Way more cursing. Damon and Carlton like to joke how their scripts were filled with profanities that they were never allowed to say on primetime television. And that would definitely change for Lost 2020.
Oh, and then they see a hatch and oh my God, what the is in that thing?
So there are a lot of fans who want to see a reboot or a continuation of Lost. But if that were the case and Lost came today, it would be without Damon and Carlton. Time and time again, no matter how many times people ask them, they always have remained firm in their decision to be done with Lost. In their eyes, there's just nothing left to say. And that makes sense.
We told the story that we wanted to tell, and that was great, and we had an opportunity to do that.
They knew their show would end after 6 seasons, right in the middle of season 3. So they had years to map out and deliver us a perfect ending. Well, I think it's perfect. I know other fans disagree, but no matter what you thought about the end, I hope we can agree that it did feel like a definite ending, and Damon and Carlton just don't want to return to that world. And although that may make fans sad, on the bright side, they've been very open about someone else continuing Lost if they had a great idea for it. They compared it to things like new Star Trek and Star Wars movies, where someone can be such a fan of the originals that they come up with a new angle or pitch for some type of continuation. And that would be kind of fascinating to see. Sure, Lost was so special because it was under the steady hand of Damon and Carlton, but maybe the best way to bring it back would be to have new voices involved that can bring something new to the table. The island is a big, mysterious place after all, and even though we got a lot of answers regarding its history, doesn't it feel like we've only scratched the surface on potential stories? A Lost continuation could open up this world that fans love so much even more. But on the other side of things, there are probably a lot of Lost fans who never want to see the show remade or rebooted in any way, shape, or form. As the famous line goes, whatever happened, happened.
Whatever happened, happened.
But doesn't it feel kind of inevitable at this point? Lost was one of the biggest hits of the 2000s, and it still has an incredibly loyal following and fan base. Almost every other big show from that era has seen some sort of revival or something similar, so why not Lost? ABC has even stated how one of their priorities is finding a way to bring Lost back in some capacity. So it's not really a matter of if, but rather it's a matter of when. We just have to be prepared for it not to have Damon and Carlton at the helm.
If somebody else comes along who has a great idea to do something set in the Lost universe and sells that to the Walt Disney Company, they will have our blessings to do that. But we see no reason to do it.
So no matter what the future of Lost holds, we should still take the time to appreciate how special Lost was when it first aired, and what it did for television overall. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go rewatch season 5 to see if I can figure out who was in that dang outrigger. What do you think Lost would look like in 2020? Do you want to see the show rebooted? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to hit that subscribe button every 108 minutes or else the world might end. Better safe than sorry. Thanks for watching Screen Rant. See you next time.